World 64, your gateway to, well, quite the weekend, may I say the least. The Chapter 4 reaction got corrupted, and it sucks. It really, really sucks. So, like, all last week, I had something bad happen every single day, which is very unusual, and I thought Saturday was my big break. Nothing bad was gonna happen. It was RWBY Day. I was gonna go see my friend. And right at the tail end of the episode, my computer that I clean out for storage every week somehow ran out of storage right at the end of Chapter 4. And the episode footage was what stopped. And I was like, oh, good. I still have my face cam. You know, the reaction, my reaction. My reaction is still on screen. And that file, after one play, got corrupted, and I tried most of Saturday, most of Sunday, and yesterday I threw in the towel to save the file. Almost everywhere I went, it would cost me like $50 to fix the file, or to get a software that would fix the file. And I tried demos, I tried free trials, nothing would fix it. Oh, and then on Sunday, my favorite pair of headphones, you know, the ones that you guys draw me in fan art wearing, they broke. So they don't even stay on my head. I put them down on the desk, I go to the bathroom, I come back,
they're broken.
It sucks. So here I am for my review for Chapter 4, and just in time, and to get me back in the RWBY mood, my plush, Team RWBY, came today. So, you know, to help reenact specific moments, I'm gonna be using the plushes because we're low budget today. Weiss, cover your panties, you hoe. Okay. Sorry, for those who watch my RTX vlog will understand that reference.
Weiss, you hoe. Cover your panties.
Alright, so starting at the beginning, we have Team RWBY and the Aesops and Juniper. I can't forget Pyro, okay? They're all coming out of the mine. I had a lot of ups and downs with that scene, with emotions and stuff. It was interesting that, like, Harriet, who I considered to be one of the most interesting Aesops, was actually the coldest one this episode, because they were like, oh wow, they were talking about the team dynamics, and also, can we just appreciate Jean just being like happy and hyper? Okay, anyway, sorry. You know, they were talking about team dynamics, and Clover explained like, oh, that they were all handpicked to like cover each other's backs and all that, so there were like no holes in the teamwork or anything like that. And you know, RWBY and the team were like, oh yeah, you guys must be like great family and friends. And Harriet was like, we're not friends. They keep me alive, I keep them alive, and that's that. And I don't know, like, it was weird because she seemed to be the one that was like really playful with RWBY in the other episodes. A lot of people thought she was kind of being a brat, and I guess they were right and seeing something that I wasn't. We'll see in the next chapter, but Harriet, I feel emotionally betrayed. But Elm and Marrow have been really, really friendly this episode, like, honestly, like, the best. Like, it's really weird because Harriet seems to be the one sticking out from the Aesops right now. However, for those who think that there's going to be a traitor amongst the Aesops, she's actually one that I'm not like concerned about when it comes to anyone being betrayed. And I know some people are like, well, their loyalty are to Ironwood first, but some are thinking that someone will still betray even Ironwood from the Aesops. We'll get there when we get there, people. I think people are just going for like trope predictions, which, you know, in RWBY that's pretty safe, but you know, there's been no hints yet, so let's not do that. Yeah, I was just a little taken back, and then RWBY, of course, was like, hey guys, we just got out of a mission, let's go party it up in Atlas, go exploring, which I would have loved to see. That is pretty much what we expected, like, the previous episode to do with them going shopping and getting clothes, but instead they just kind of, like, Amazon Primed it. Sadly, the rest of the team very coldly said no. Like, Blake gave a rational reason. She wants to go to sleep. Weiss gave another rational reason. Hey, we just traveled all the way across the country on foot and just got here. How about we don't? We could take it slow for a bit. And then Yang was like, we almost died. Which, again, another rational reason. However, I think it's also rational for RWBY to want to go explore. Like, you know, maybe after a stressful mission, you just want to have fun and, like, get the edge taken off a little bit. Which does happen But first, we must talk about the Jacques in the room, because Jacques Schnee, that jerk, he came back. This wasn't exactly how I expected his entrance to come, but he made a grand entrance, and oh boy, we got a lot of information with Jacques in this episode, because he comes in and he's all yelling and fighting with Ironwood. He's like, "Oh, how dare you! You didn't get the approval of the council." And then Ironwood's like, "Read the rules, jerk." He was like, "This was a classified mission. We don't need it to be approved. You might want to read up on that before you lose the election." And I'm like, ooh. You know, I don't know if Ironwood is one to talk, because, you know, Forrest was killed, and they talked about that being like, hey, someone's killing people who talk against Ironwood. Which is interesting, because at first we thought it was specifically people who were siding with Robin, which we'll probably meet next episode, because there's already been her face in a thumbnail. But, you know, it's like, Jacques, you know, if it's specifically people speaking against you, then you might also lose part of the election. So, like, I would hold back on the insults just a tad bit, just a tad. And then, you know, Jacques, he's of course not backing off at all, but then he catches Weiss, you know, and he's all mean and angry towards her, and, you know, she stands her ground. She's like, "It was my decision to leave, and it was my decision to come back." Ooh. And then Ironwood is like, "Hey, like, watch what you're doing, Jacques," because Jacques was like, "Oh, just wait till I do something." And then Ironwood's like, "You're not gonna do anything." And it was very much a physical abuse threat, because Jacques was like winding up his sleeve, and then like he had to like put it down, fix it up, and then he went for the emotionally manipulative and abusive route, which just I hated that so much. Just the way he was like, "Oh, you know, Weiss, your mother was very hurt by your actions. She didn't leave the room for several days. You should think more before you run off." And, you know, you see the hurt in Weiss. Like, props to the animation team, because they've been emoting very well. However, I think there's been a little bit of like animation lines kind of wigging out in this episode, specifically with Jacques, Ironwood, and Winter. Those are the three that I've noticed it the most, and it was weird. It stood out enough for me to be like, "Oh man, it'll be polished before the Blu-ray, I'm sure." I just felt so bad, but then you know, we had a beautiful moment. Blake grabs her hand, and she's like, "Don't worry, we got this." And then we had RWBY being like, "Yeah, we're gonna give you the look that's in the thumbnail," that had everyone going, "The team's ready to bone," because that's the name of the thing. It's what is it? I got the episode right here. What is the name? Pomp and Circumstance, which apparently there's a song that's kind of like with that title. But anyway, they were holding hands, and we had like the whole team. Hold on, I'll get the whole team. We had the whole team, and they were just happened to be standing in the way that spells RWBY. And then he was like, "Oh, so these are the friends you left Atlas for?" She's like, "No, not friends, family." And I wanted to cry. I did cry. If this was my reaction video that got corrupted, I'd be crying. It was a beautiful moment, and it shows just, you know, part of Weiss's character development more, like just how she's like grown to like stand up to her abuser, literally in this stance, and then also just like how she's bonded with the team and had found family. And, you know, Jacques, he F's off, and then Winter shows up, and Weiss is like, "Oh, you just missed father," and and Winter, before she even says like, "Oh, I was purposely doing that," Penny came in with the jump scare. Like, it spooked me. Like, when I watched it, I was like, "Oh man." Like, everyone was saying chapter 3 had like 2 jump scares. It definitely had 1 jump scare that got me in the mind, but then people were saying, "Oh, Tyrion appearing was a jump scare." It didn't jump scare me, but Penny popping out of nowhere scared me for a second. I was like, "Ah, Penny!" Ah! And we had the sound cue. I rewatched it. There was the sound cue of her jets over above, but it spooked me. And she was like, "Congratulations!" And they're like, "For what?" And then Ironwood was like, "Hey, how about we go up in the arena? There's something I need to talk to you about." And then he was like, "All right, everybody, pull out your scrolls. You're all official huntresses." And honestly, like, that was also a meaningful moment. Like, I totally forgot that was like a goal since Volume 1, for them to become official hunters and huntresses. And I think it was in it was either chapter 2 or chapter 3 that I noticed that it said license status active for them, which made me go, oh, they have their licenses. But then I guess that might have been them accidentally jumping the gun with details on screen, because now they're active. They didn't know they were active until just now, and Penny was like, boop, you're active, you're active, you're active, just like Oprah, just passing out hunters licenses. Ironwood gave a very nice speech. It was nice, you know, it was good encouragement, and then he left awkwardly, which honestly I relate to so much, like trying to end anything. That's like me with these videos. And Penny's like, your exit is improving, good job, sir. And I protect Penny, we can't lose her again, please, RWBY, have mercy. And you know, everyone's having their cake. Then we had the beautiful Bumblebee selfie. Like, I just love wholesome, funny moments. Like, whether or not you ship it, it was cute and fun. And also support Bumblebee. And then we had RWBY just off out in the distance, sitting being emo, because she's like, ugh, you know, good things happen, but I'm still bothered by things like keeping stuff a secret from Ironwood. And then Crow shows up. If there was a Crow plushie, this would be him. And he's like, don't worry, RWBY, you're not being like Ozpin, because Ozpin just kept everything to himself. He couldn't trust anyone. But you're waiting for people to prove themselves to be trusted, because you would tell Ironwood if he did something that made you feel like it was okay to tell him. She's like, thanks. And he's like, yeah, you're just like your mom. She's like, oh yeah, what happened to her? And he's like, she went on a summer secret. We'll talk about that later. We don't really know. And I really hope, like, showing Summer at the end of Volume 6 and then bringing her up back in Volume 7 is, like, hinting that she might be coming back soon, or we're gonna get some answers. Like, I'm really happy that they talked about Summer. I was like, yes, yes, yes. And then, you know, they all come down and they're being shown the message board from Marrow, and also RWBY did like the Palpatine hood thing, like, ooh, undercover. But they were talking about the mission stuff, and Jean got like the stupidest but really funny mission of like having to escort children. Like, we're gonna see that in the next episode. And Miles and Carrie at RTX, when they said they had to describe Volume 7 with something, Miles said thirsty moms. And Cal guessed it, and the more when she said it on Twitter, it made me go, oh my gosh, we were totally misled. He was totally thinking like, oh yes, the best Jean scene is the moms thirsting after him, because oof, that boy looks good now, and all those moms are gonna be like, woo, look at this man escorting our children. And then you know, that's gonna happen, and everyone else got the fun mission, or 2 people. I don't know. It didn't really specify who got the next mission, because they said they needed 2 hunters, but everyone raised their hand, so I don't know which 2 got the mission specifically. But there was that, and then it cuts back to Jacques back in his newly repainted office, having a I don't know, whiskey, alcohol. I don't drink. I'm sorry to disappoint you. And then Whitley came, and this was very much kind of showing that like Whitley is still a kid, because he's kind of scared, pantsless at this moment. He's like, hey Dad, someone wants to come in the office, and he's like, tell them to go away. And he's like, no, like they just kind of let themselves in, and then Watts comes in, and he's like, oh hello, and then Jacques calls him by the first name, so they must be acquaintances. And he's like, also, I thought you were dead. And then he's like, yeah, I want people to think I'm dead. And then, you know, kind of hints that he's gonna help Jacques with the election, so that's cool. And also Whitley, like I said, Watts made a comment saying like he was like he was very much like Jacques in a creepy way, and that he got his effects, meaning that Whitley, being a kid, is very much just copying his father and try to be like his father, because kids, especially sons, look up to their fathers a lot and will try to like mimic that. But I bet Jacques is also kind of like teaching Whitley to be like that, or Whitley is teaching himself that, because he wants to inherit the company. And you know, once Winter was like, oop, I'm going to the military, he's like, okay, I just need Weiss to not inherit the company. And then, you know, was just secretly planning, and I bet he would have gotten to a point where he would have done something to sabotage it for Weiss. But then, you know, Weiss being Weiss, that got screwed over, so Whitley's getting it. So I don't know, he's still a kid, and he's a terrible kid, but he's still a kid. So that was a good episode. It was really good. It had a lot of heartwarming moments, it had some comedy, and it gave us some like tidbits of what may be coming in the future of this volume, like with the summer stuff specifically is what I'm thinking of. And also this chapter, and I think it was the previous chapter too, like it's almost like they're doing everything that the fandom is thinking and saying and then answering it in the very next episode. So I've been very happy with how they're doing it. And again, I'm just so disappointed my file corrupted, and you know, it's dumb. But guys, thank you so much for watching this, you know, RWBY Puppet Pals episode of Portal 64. Hopefully one day I could get it uncorrupted, but at this point I've given up on that chapter 4 reaction. And also, chapter 3 got unblocked super late, so if you want to watch that as well, please do so. And if you like this video, please like it, subscribe, share it with your friends, and as always, I will boop you next time.